The name Stonehenge is thought to come from the Old English or Saxon word Stanhengen, which means stone hanging, because it kind of resembles what gallows looked like in the Middle Ages. You had two uprights with a crossbeam.
Beneath the ancient stones of Stonehenge, scientists have uncovered evidence so shocking it could rewrite the very history of civilization itself. For centuries, this monument stood as a riddle carved into the English plains. But what researchers just revealed is far stranger, far older, and far more unsettling than anyone imagined. On the windswept plains of southern England, a circle of massive stones rises out of the earth like the ribs of some long-dead giant. The air around Stonehenge is heavy with silence, broken only by the low whistle of the wind and the distant call of birds. Mist often clings to the grass here, curling around the stones like ghostly fingers, making the monument appear both eternal and otherworldly. Travelers who stumble upon it for the first time often describe a strange sensation, an uneasy mix of awe and disquiet, as if the stones are watching, keeping secrets they refuse to share. For thousands of years, people have asked the same questions. Who built this monument and why? How were such colossal blocks, some weighing more than 25 tons, dragged across miles of countryside long before the wheel was invented? Was it a temple, a burial ground, or perhaps something far stranger, an astronomical machine built to track the stars? Every answer leads only to more questions, and every theory seems to dissolve under closer scrutiny. Stonehenge has endured war, weather, and the relentless march of time, yet it has never yielded its ultimate truth. At least, not until recently, because now science has pierced the silence and the stones have finally begun to speak. What they reveal will shake history itself. Until now. For decades, researchers had chipped away at Stonehenge's secrets with careful excavations and endless speculation. But in recent years, technology offered a new set of eyes. Armed with ground-penetrating radar and advanced chemical analysis, a team of scientists returned to the ancient site, not to tear the earth apart, but to look beneath its surface with surgical precision. At first, they expected nothing more than the usual: traces of fire pits, fragments of tools, the faint imprints of ancient graves. The early scans seemed routine, the kind of results that would quietly confirm what experts had already believed. But then deeper layers began to emerge, patterns no one had anticipated. Perfectly aligned geometric shapes appeared beneath the soil, sprawling outward like an invisible blueprint etched into the land. These weren't natural formations. They were deliberate, massive, and older than the stones themselves. Confusion quickly turned into alarm as the team realized what the images suggested. Stonehenge might not be a solitary monument at all, but the centerpiece of a far larger, hidden complex stretching for miles. Chemical analysis added another twist. Samples from the surrounding earth revealed traces of substances not native to this part of England. Elements that hinted at long-distance trade or contact with civilizations previously thought unreachable in that era. The deeper the scientists probed, the more the story unraveled, until their discovery challenged the very timeline of human history, and then came the most unsettling revelation of all. Beneath the iconic circle, buried in shadows untouched for millennia, the scans revealed something unmistakable, something that shouldn't have been there. What they found buried beneath Stonehenge was not what anyone expected. When news of the scans leaked, the academic world erupted. Archaeologists who had spent lifetimes studying Stonehenge were stunned into silence, while younger researchers celebrated with unrestrained excitement. To some, it was a once-in-a-generation breakthrough, proof that the monument was not an isolated mystery, but part of something far greater. They called it the missing chapter of prehistory, a discovery that could finally link Stonehenge to the wider story of human civilization. But not everyone was convinced. Veteran historians, wary of sensational claims, cautioned against jumping to conclusions. One expert warned, "Extraordinary findings demand extraordinary proof. Until we've excavated, we're only staring at shadows in the ground." Their skepticism created a divide. On one side, those who believed humanity was on the brink of rewriting its origin story, and on the other, those who insisted it was too early to know anything for certain. Behind closed doors, the tension deepened. If the evidence proved true, textbooks would need to be rewritten, long-accepted timelines torn apart, and entire theories about the development of human society overturned. The stakes were monumental. Was Stonehenge merely a monument of ritual and worship, or was it evidence of an advanced culture lost to time? The debate rages still, but one fact is undeniable. The ground beneath Stonehenge has changed the conversation forever. For centuries, Stonehenge has been a magnet for theories, and the new discoveries only added fuel to the fire. The most grounded explanation, supported by many archaeologists, suggests it was a vast ceremonial burial ground. Human remains found nearby seem to confirm that the monument served as a sacred resting place for society's elite, a kind of ancient cathedral built in stone. Others argue it functioned as a giant calendar, its alignments with the solstices proving it was designed to chart the movement of the sun and stars, an early attempt at astronomy carved into the landscape. But beyond these reasonable interpretations lies a darker, more tantalizing spectrum of speculation. Some believe the geometric shapes revealed underground were ritual spaces, where chants and firelight might have once filled the night. A few historians whisper of a lost civilization, advanced in ways we still struggle to explain, whose fingerprints may linger in the perfect engineering of the stones. And then, inevitably, the conversation drifts toward the extraordinary. Ancient alien theorists point to the sheer scale of the construction and ask the question mainstream science dares not. Could Stonehenge be evidence of contact with beings from beyond Earth? The truth may sit somewhere between practicality and legend. Perhaps Stonehenge was both an observatory and a temple, a place where life, death, and the heavens converged. What unsettles scholars is not just what it was, but why it still matters. Because if its secrets stretch beyond ritual or calendar keeping, then Stonehenge may be more than a monument. It may be a message. And that possibility keeps the mystery alive. At first, the underground scans seemed like a curiosity, a fascinating puzzle piece that might refine the story of Stonehenge. But as data poured in, a disturbing pattern emerged. Beneath the soil, perfectly cut channels ran in straight lines, intersecting with unnerving precision. When digitally reconstructed, these features formed a network eerily similar to foundations of engineered structures no one believed Neolithic people could have designed. The lines were too exact, too intentional, suggesting planning on a scale that shouldn't have been possible 5,000 years ago. The revelation spread through the research team like a chill. If these were indeed architectural remnants, then Stonehenge wasn't just an isolated monument. It was a fragment of something bigger, something deliberately erased from history. That implication alone rattled the academic world. How could a civilization so ancient have mastered techniques resembling geometry, astronomy, even engineering far ahead of their time? The stones suddenly seemed less like relics of superstition and more like echoes of knowledge long forgotten. And then came the detail that tipped the discovery into the extraordinary. Deep samples drawn from the base revealed tool marks, microscopic, striations carved with an accuracy modern researchers compared to machined surfaces. But no known tools of the period could have left them. If the analysis held true, the builders of Stonehenge possessed methods science cannot yet explain. This wasn't just about Stonehenge anymore. It was about humanity itself. If the monument was tied to a lost culture, one advanced enough to defy our timelines, then the history taught in classrooms around the world would collapse like sand. The unsettling question loomed: who really built Stonehenge and what else did they leave behind? If the revelations beneath Stonehenge are accurate, then the implications ripple far beyond archaeology. They strike at the very foundation of human history. For generations, we've taught that early societies were primitive, bound by simple tools and limited knowledge. Yet the evidence now suggests that 5,000 years ago, people may have possessed an understanding of engineering, astronomy, and organization far surpassing what we believed possible. It forces us to ask, what else have we overlooked or worse, lost? Some scientists argue this could point to a forgotten chapter of civilization, a culture whose knowledge either vanished through catastrophe or was deliberately erased from memory. If so, Stonehenge might not be an isolated wonder but a surviving clue to a much larger human story, one waiting beneath our feet across the globe. Others see the discovery as a chance to bridge myth with science, where legends of ancient wisdom may hold fragments of truth that we dismiss too quickly. But alongside excitement lies unease. If timelines shift, if origins blur, then everything, from the rise of agriculture to the dawn of organized religion, must be reconsidered. Researchers now plan deeper excavations and more advanced analyses, but each step brings new risks, unearthing answers we may not be ready for. One thing is certain: Stonehenge no longer stands as a silent monument. It's a messenger, whispering that our past is not what we thought. And the question that lingers is chilling. What else is waiting to be uncovered? For 5,000 years, Stonehenge has loomed over the English plains, silent and unmoving, its purpose lost to time. And now, with science peeling back layers of soil and mystery, we've glimpsed something extraordinary, a hidden story carved into the earth itself. The revelations hint at advanced knowledge, at civilizations more complex than we dared to imagine, and at timelines that may no longer hold true. Yet for every answer uncovered, a dozen new questions rise from the shadows. Stonehenge has given us a taste of its truth, but not the whole meal. It is as if the monument is reminding us that some secrets are revealed only when humanity is ready to hear them. We stand today on the edge of that readiness, staring into the unknown, torn between wonder and unease. Was Stonehenge a temple, a machine, a message, or the legacy of a forgotten people whose voices were buried long before history began? One thing remains certain: the stones endure, patient as ever, watching over us as they always have. They whisper to the wind, hinting at knowledge too vast to vanish. Stonehenge has guarded its secrets for millennia, and even now it refuses to give them all up.